experience was a few days ago, and I wasn't asking for an experience as far as I remember, but okay, so I watched the Stephen King movie on YouTube, and it was called The Night Flyer, and for some dumb reason I can't remember. There was another movie I was gonna watch before that, or I saw a video or something, or maybe it was part of a movie or something on Netflix or something, but I don't know why, I can't remember, but it was some other scary movie or something, and I don't know why, I can't remember, but it was before I decided on watching The Night Flyer on YouTube, because you could still watch a lot of old movies on YouTube. So it was like two scary things I was kind of watching, but I can't remember the other thing for some reason, because I think it was another movie I was gonna watch, and then I settled on The Night Flyer, but I can't remember the other one for some stupid reason. The one that I came across before Night Flyer. But anyway, so it was two scary movies or whatever. And but like I said, I just listened to a bit of the first one, and then I decided on watching The Night Flyer. And so here's The Night Flyer, and it was kind of scary, but normally, you know, I don't get nightmares or anything. But it has to do with that. See that Kate Bean in the back with the cloak, black cloak? I had another experience like that in 1998. I haven't talked about that experience yet. But anyway, what was really cool was this morning I woke up at like 8:30 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep. And I didn't really get any good lucid dreams or anything before then. So I was asking my beings or whatever to give me a good, long, drawn-out lucid dream. Well, sure enough, they gave me one. And basically, this morning, so anyway, I didn't even wake up till 12:30. And so I know I probably didn't even fall back to sleep till 10 a.m. So the lucid dream happened between 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And, but basically this lucid dream, of course, it seemed like it lasted, 8 hours at least, but it probably lasted at least an hour or longer. That's characteristic of these lucid dreams, man. You feel like you're in a different dimension, which I did. I felt like I was in a different reality, different dimension. And, oh man, it seems like they just last for hours and hours and hours and hours. But basically, it's like I went back to work, even though I didn't have to go back to work. I just went back to work to check on things because the government shut down. So I work for the government, so it's shut down. So under this lucid dream, I went back to work to check on some things like my plants. I did this lucid dream. But anyway, like long story short, the lucid dream was just all in, walking around the workplace and interacting with some people, some coworkers, and I would see other coworkers come in. A lot of them were black women. And because they had to work a few hours, but I didn't. I just went back to check on some things. And but it was funny. I ended up walking into like a little room. It was almost like some of the workers actually lived there in a little apartment. And I know where the aliens got that from, because my boss said one time that these coworkers lived across the street in an apartment, and she was like, and they would still be late. That's kind of funny. Some people live like freaking an hour and a half away from work, and they're never late. They're like 20 minutes early, and then you have some coworkers that live right across the street in an apartment building, and they're still late to work. So that was kind of funny. So in the scenario, it was kind of like some little one room, very, very small one room apartments. And yeah, I don't know, this one scene, like I said, I'm only going to talk about a couple things, because like I say, basically I was just walking around conversing with people, just conversing with coworkers. And like I say, it lasted a long time. But anyway, there was these two. I went off into one of the little apartments, and I was talking to these two co-workers, and one of the co-workers was like really, really, really fat. And what's kind of funny was the alien put him in, that fat guy in there, the fat co-worker in my scenario, because I had watched this movie. Actually, I have like 20 more minutes to watch this movie called Tentacles. This real cheesy movie, man. Movies were like freaking Hollywood was cheesy back then, man. In 1977, very cheesy. So I'd watched this 1977 movie called Tentacles, and there's this part in Tentacles where this really fat guy is sitting on a boat in the ocean or whatever, and the other guy slaps his fat stomach. So anyway, I know that's why the alien like put him in my scenario. Not exactly him, but another fat dude, co-worker. But they did, I remember they, at first I was getting along, you know, and talking to these two guys or whatever. And then it was kind of funny. One of them like started to go off on me. I can't remember exactly why, but it's like he went off on me because I was cramping his style or something, because I was in that little apartment, you know, his little I guess it was his little apartment. And I was in there observing or whatever. But anyway, at one point, like, he went off on me, and I just remember thinking, you know, like, what's that all about, you know? But anyway, but the other part, this was the other weird part. Like I say, oh, and by the way, I mean, this building was just really strange, nothing like in real life, all the places I worked at. So under this lucid dream, it was just really weird. I mean, the building, it was like nothing like, you know, the real places that I've worked at. But I went down the hall, I started walking down the hall, and this other woman, this other co-worker came up to me, and she's like, see, I'm sweeping, I gotta sweep, you know, all these floors, you know, on this hallway. And I looked down on the floor, and it was just huge piles. She was sweeping up huge piles of mechanical crap. You know, like little screws and lug nuts and wires, like copper wires, and just all these little gadgets that you would need to build things, like nails, just anything that you would use to build a house, anything little in metal, you know, almost like I don't know, like in the scenario, like I felt like it was almost like somebody went to a class called shop or something. I never took shop. I took home ec, but you always heard of some people taking shop. And so under the scenario, when I saw all those big old piles of like nails and all this mechanical stuff, like stuff that you would, you know, need to build a house or something, like nails and screws and little wires and stuff, it was just big old piles of that she swept up, which of course made no sense. But and like I say, under the scenario, I was even thinking like, you know, that's weird. It's like almost like somebody was taking shop or something. But anyway, that was just kind of funny. But anyway, so it was just funny because the aliens gave me what I asked for, because up to that point at 8:30 a.m., man, I don't think I could remember any. I'd have to rack my brain, but I'm sure I did have some dreams, but I'd have to rack my brain to remember them. And so I asked them to give me a long, drawn-out lucid dream, and they did. And it was fun. Even though, you know, a lot of these lucid dreams, you're just walking around for hours and hours and hours and hours, just talking to people, walking around a mall or whatever, going into stores. They've given me many scenarios like that. And you're just doing mundane things, but it's such a blast when you're under the scenario. But anyway, that's what I have this morning. But back to this one. Okay, so I wasn't like asking for an experience as far as I remember, and I didn't even go to bed till about 4 a.m. And so anyway, I was watching this scary movie called The Night Flyer. But like I say, before that, there was some other scary movie that I came across that I was gonna watch or something. I don't know why the hell I can't remember. Or maybe it was just something I was thinking of. But anyway, So I don't know if watching the Night Flyer triggered this jinn to come around, or this reptilian or whatever. I mean, like, the jinn are kind of similar to reptilians. It's just, I mean, they could do like similar things. It's just some of the jinn and stuff, you know, they couldn't become physical if they even tried. They're just like pure energy. And then of course the aliens, you know, some of them, they can manifest as physical or semi-physical or whatever. And some of these jinn, I mean, I don't even think they can manifest as semi-physical if they even tried. But yeah, so I don't know, I almost think that this entity that came lurking around my bed, like, I think it wasn't necessarily an alien. I think it could have been a jinn. And I mean, they can still like shapeshift and show like a face to you, like if your eyes are closed or whatever, they can show like a face to you or whatever. But that doesn't mean that they could come into this dimension and manifest as physical or anything. Like, they're still just energy. But like I say, some of the aliens, that's where it's kind of, they're kind of similar, but not exactly the same. Like the jinn and the aliens are not exactly the same. But a jinn can act like a reptilian, and a reptilian can act like a jinn. But so, like, I don't know, it could have been a reptilian, you know, that came around. But so anyway, I was watching the Night Flyer, and okay, so I was watching the Night Flyer, and I watched the whole thing. Okay, so then I went to bed about 4 a.m. and I kept smelling this cologne, and I was wide awake. I wasn't even getting groggy or anything. I was wide awake, and I kept smelling this awesome male cologne smell. And I started to get kind of scared, and normally I don't get scared at all. But maybe I wouldn't have been so scared if I wouldn't have watched that movie, The Night Flyer. And, because normally scary movies don't really scare me or whatever. But it was just kind of creepy, and I don't think I would have been so creeped out, you know, if I didn't had watched The Night Flyer. And, so I kept smelling this freaking cologne smell, this awesome man's cologne smell. And like I say, I started, oh, and that's not the first time. They emit all sorts of smells. Sometimes, like right when I, you know, wake up or about to fall asleep, you know, they'll emit all sorts of smells. And sometimes they're very, very pleasant. And sometimes not or whatever. But this time it was like a cologne, awesome men's cologne smell. And I had another experience of this too, but this was a reptilian, and this was when they were trying to groom me to date a black guy. But that's another video that I haven't done yet. But so this isn't the first time that they came around smelling like cologne. Well, except this was in the physical. You know, when he came around smelling like cologne, that was in the physical. That other experience, I was out of body under a virtual reality scenario, and the reptilian being posed as a black man, and he walked in front of me, and he smelled like this awesome, you know, cologne. He had this awesome cologne on. But that's another video. Okay, so anyway, so I kept smelling this cologne smell. And I smelled it, I mean, at least like 3, 4, 5 times. Well, no, at least 5 times I smelled it. And I was just like, man, is this for real? You know? And so I knew there was a being lurking around after I kept smelling that cologne smell. And I was kind of afraid to go to sleep. And, well, for some dumb reason, also the reason why I was getting kind of scared was, I was thinking, was that one guy's cologne that I had just hung around? This one person I just hung around, you know, a couple weeks ago or whatever, about 2 weeks ago, we had a pizza party or whatever, and we took a picture together, and you know, he had cologne on, and I was like, I'm trying to be covert about this part I'm talking about, because I'm not trying to say who it was, but so yeah, so. And when I kept smelling the smell, I kept thinking, is that what he had on? And I kept, because I smelled it at least, 5 times. And so, then I thought, no, it was slightly different. The smell that he had on, the cologne that he had on was slightly different. But they both were still awesome smells, what he had on and then what this Jinn had on or whatever, lurking around my bed. And like I said, I think sometimes, you can bring these beings to you by watching shit like that. Like, weird movies like that. I have no doubt. So that could have brought that Jinn around. I have no doubt. Because I wasn't asking for an experience as far as I remember. And, so anyway, so I kind of started getting, like, scared because I was thinking, oh, is that one of his, beings trying to come kick my ass or attack me or whatever? Because this person that I'm talking about that I met a couple weeks ago, isn't exactly vibrating on the highest of vibrations, you know what I'm saying? But that's all I'm going to say about that. So anyway, I was kind of like scared, and I knew that was a bad thing to get scared, because if they're a really mean being, a mean alien or being or whatever, they kind of prey on that. So I tried not to get too scared or whatever, and then I finally went to sleep, and then I started having dreams and stuff, but they weren't bad dreams or anything. And then finally, I think I woke up and went pee-pee or whatever around 8 or 9 or something like that. And then when I went back to sleep, that's when I had an attack, so to speak. And so I believe it could have been, that Jinn that smelled like cologne, really good cologne, lurking around. Because, just because, they're lurking around right then and there at 4 a.m. once you fall asleep, that doesn't mean they're going to give you an experience that split second. It could be many, many hours later. Just like when at 9 o'clock at night, I went to bed 9 p.m. A few years ago, and Venus, the female reptilian, she showed herself to me, and she was pretty. She looked more human-like, but she was a female reptilian, and she showed herself to me at 9 p.m. when I was about to go to bed, when I was asking for an experience in my house. And she showed herself to me, but then she didn't give me the out-of-body experience till 6 or 6:30 a.m. the next morning. So I still believe that it was most likely this Jinn that gave me the so-called bad lucid dream, many hours later. So that would have been, about 4 or 5 hours later. Okay, so this is how it went down. And, so basically, and like I say, this was a long, drawn-out lucid dream. It wasn't that bad at all, but some of these Jinn, they're like harmless. They just do funny things. Like they've given me virtual reality scenarios, under the out-of-body experience state or whatever. They've given me virtual reality scenarios where I'd reach down and try to pet my turtle, and then it would bite me real hard. And it feels all physical, like it would bite me physically under, the scenario. Like I say, everything still feels physical, and I mean, it would feel like pretty hardcore physical. Like, even though I'm under an altered state, out-of-body experience, the turtle would bite me real hard, like on the left wrist or whatever. They've done that many times. Or one time I picked up a styrofoam. In another scenario, I was in a weird backyard in a weird town in a weird city, and I had went outside along the fence, and I had reached down to pick up a styrofoam cup, and then a snake, like, bam, like, kind of like hit the cup, like tried to bite me, but instead of hitting my hand, it hit the cup. And I mean, it was physical, like, and it like hit the styrofoam cup. And, but I mean, you could still have, if they're shitty dreams, they're not necessarily going to feel physical, but the aliens have all these abilities. They can make anything feel like anything. But yeah, they've done several things like that before. And it's not real mean things, it's just like, they're just harmless, most of them. And this lucid dream was sort of just harmless. it wasn't a really bad, gin or whatever. But like I say, I've had, about 3 really, 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 really bad experiences. And those experiences are on here where the alien can actually, manifest and just stand there through your bed. The chances of him manifesting as completely physical, would be rare, but they could still manifest as semi-physical and just standing right through your bed. And then they can, they can do harm by getting you on their energetic level. So they sit there and will try to nudge you out of body. And then once they get you out of body, then they can like beat you up and shit. Because I had that experience. My vicious reptilian attack. And that's on here. So there's some really, really, really mean aliens out there. And like that one lived at the bottom of the pit in hell. And I do have an impression what I think he looked like. I think he had a flat face. He was just one of those really mean ones that kind of looked like one of those flat-faced beings in David Icke's book. I believe that that's what he looked like. And so anyway, that's what he did. He kept like, oh my God, it took him forever, man. And this was 10 minutes after 9 a.m. in the morning when he attacked me. And I had talked to him at 9 p.m. the night before. I was talking to one and I was asking for an experience. And I was telling him, I was kind of like talking in images and telling him exactly what I sort of wanted. And I just accidentally was talking to the wrong being because the vicious one came forward. So that was kind of strange. But yeah, that experience is on here. And that was like, I mean, it was a cool experience, but it's amazing what these beings can do. And so anyway, okay, so where was I at? Okay, so yeah, so basically, but anyway, yeah, the being, it took a long time for him to get me out of body. He had to like, he went to like one side of me, like to the right side, nudge, 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 and then around the bed to the left side, nudge, 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 nudge. And he did that several times. And then he had to like shake, 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 like shake me out several times. Like shake, shake, shake. And then finally when he got me out of body, he like, bam, like punched me really hard. And then, like I say, he abducted me and we descended at 100 miles an hour, maybe 200 miles an hour, and he was trying to get me to the bottom of the pit, which was the most bottom part of the hell realm. But yeah, so anyway, so in this experience, it was just kind of harmless. Okay, so this is how it went down. So basically, I was okay, let's see, what was I doing? Oh yeah, okay, so basically I was in an old house and my stepdad was there. I was talking to my stepdad and my mom was walking around, my sister was walking around. And then at one point I went outside and my uncle was there. But anyway, first I'll talk about the part, and this lasted quite a long time, this lucid dream. But I was just walking around in this old house, in a weird city. I don't know what city I was in because the alien didn't tell me that. But basically, I'm just going to talk about the two most important parts or whatever. So basically, okay, the first part, there was a twin bed. And that's not the first time they put twin. Well, actually, it was an angelic, one of the Silver Legion angelic beings that put a twin bed in my vision after she saved me from the bad reptilian attack. But anyway, so in this scenario, there was also a twin bed facing, in this bedroom, facing, in this old house, facing east. There was this twin bed. And I had just got done, sleeping in it or whatever. And underneath the bed, it was like, from the bottom of the bed to the floor was like a good, 6 or 7 inches. And so anyway, after I got out of bed and everything, then I started talking to my stepdad and stuff. And this is all under the lucid dream. And a big roach, this is a pretty big fat roach, like, I don't know, 3.5 inches long, 2 inches wide. It was a pretty big roach that came out from under the bed. And I was like, oh shit, I need to try to catch it and, stick it outside or whatever. And so I started telling my stepdad, I was like, crap, maybe they formed a nest under there. And he was trying to argue with me, like, no, I don't think so. If you look under there, it looks pretty clean and blah, 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 blah. And anyway, I kept thinking that the roach was forming a nest under there. Because that did happen in real life before, back in this old apartment, this old triplex that I lived at. So I guess the alien copied off of that. But anyway, so I was trying to, gather the roach up and stick it outside or whatever. But anyway, so then, and I started talking to my dad or whatever, my stepdad. And then another time, a few seconds later, I went back into the bedroom and then like another roach came out from under the bed. And like in this scenario, it was kind of funny because there was only 2 roaches in my scenario. But there was this other lucid dream that I never talked about, where I went into this old house. It was kind of dirty, and there was like tons and tons and tons of roaches. But in this scenario, like this isn't the first time they put roaches in my scenario. But in this scenario, there's only 2 big roaches. Okay, so and that is one of the characteristics of aliens and jinns or whatever. They'll put weird bugs and shit in your scenario. They even show that in Men in Black. But yeah, so that was the first part of the scenario that was kind of significant. But my stepdad, he was like, no, I don't think they're trying to build because he is kind of like that, his personality. He kind of argues with everything. Like, no, I don't think they're trying to build a nest under there. And I remember looking under there, and it was nice and clean and white floor. But anyway, I kept thinking they were trying to build a nest under there, these roaches. Okay, so here's the attack that happened. So later on, and like I say, it was like my sister, my mom, my stepdad, and then at one point I went outside. There was like a door over to the right, and I ended up outside. And I cocked my head over to the right. I was about to talk to my uncle. I can't remember what I said to him or what he said to me, but I started talking to my uncle. And then the next thing I know, I cocked my head to the left. And then, boom, this leech, grabbed onto my left wrist. Like physically, and just started sucking. Like really, really, really hard. And I could feel it physically and everything. Now, in a lot of these kinds of experiences, even though they're physical, so to speak, like when I wake up, I never have bruises or anything like that on me. So, like, even though, it was very, very physical when the leech got onto me and started sucking. I mean, it was like sucking hard. And I don't know if they really do that. I don't think they would. I don't think it would feel that bad if you had a leech on you. But I really don't know, because I've never had a leech on me. But I don't think so. I don't think it would feel that horrible. But it was a pretty good sized leech, and it just, bam, clang onto my left wrist. And, oh yeah, and then by the way, I hurried up and took it and just threw it off of me. And so I did, slam it down onto the ground or whatever. And so basically, the only other thing I wanted to say was why they put the leech, why the jinn or the reptilian, why he put the leech in my scenario, because he got that, from my brain previously. And the reason, and like I say, the only time I didn't even think there were leeches around here. The first time I ever came across a leech was back when I went fishing at the little lakes across my street when I lived in Kansas City. And I think we had caught some kind of turtle, and underneath the turtle there was a couple small leeches on the turtle. And and I was like, those are leeches? Because I don't know. I thought leeches are only in swamps. But anyway, that was the first time I've ever actually seen leeches. But they were kind of small, about that big. This leech that got on me in my scenario, was about that big, and that wide. It's pretty big. and it just started sucking, like real hard, you know? And, I mean, it was pretty physical, like I say, and then I just took it and just like threw it off of me really fast. And, so anyway, like I say, I guess we do have leeches around here that are in certain, lakes. And like I say, these lakes were really, really small, so they were kind of more swampy and almost like ponds, but they were called lakes. But anyway, the reason why the alien put the leech or the djinn or whatever in my scenario was because recently, that same time I was telling you about a couple weeks ago when I met up with a group of people, and then we had a pizza party, and then I took a picture with this guy, and you know, he smelled like cologne and everything. That same night, we took my niece to the bookstore, and like I say, that was a couple weeks ago. We took my niece to the bookstore, me and my sister, and she started telling us about a leech. Like, she always says, you know, oh, we go down to, they call it Verney's. I can't remember why they get that name, but it's some kind of river or whatever they go down to, and she got a leech on her. And she said she started, like, screaming or something. Like I said, I don't know if they really hurt once they get on you, but, yeah, I don't know. She just acted like she was screaming because she didn't really know how to get it off. I don't think it was really hurting her that bad or whatever, but she knew something was on her and she wanted it off. So anyway, so my niece started talking about a leech. So that's why the alien put that leech, or put, you know, a leech, I mean, in my scenario. Because I always like to go off little bits and pieces, normally pretty current bits and pieces that's in your brain. You know, 9 times out of 10, they like to go off of current information that's in your brain if they're going to come and give you an experience. It's probably just easier for them to take bits and pieces, you know, instead of like delving deeper into your brain and going back 15, 18, 39 years or whatever. They're probably just, you know, being lazy. It's probably much faster and easier, just like bam, going off of little bits and pieces that you've seen just, you know, 72, 42, 24 hours ago or a week ago. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if I ask him to. See, and one thing I need to do is like, okay, like, to ask them, or like, to see if I can have any, like, memories of any experiences, like, during my whole, all the way up to, like, from age, let's see, you know, like, let me see, you know, 14 or whatever to age 21. Like, during that time, because I remember some experiences at 5 years old, 4 years old, 10 years old, and, let's see, yeah, 10 years old, no, actually, so basically from 11 years old all the way up to 20, basically, that, during that time, 11 years old to 20 years old, because I'm sure I had all sorts of awesome lucid dreams and stuff, but, you know, I wasn't documenting them back then. From 11 to 21, but the only thing I remember between the age of 11, like I say, I remember all those experiences from age 4, 5, and age 10. I didn't talk about that experience yet at age 10. But I mean, like, significant experiences from age 11 to 20. Because I do remember a very significant experience at age 21, which I haven't talked about yet. So basically from age 11 to 20. And there's another experience I had at age 5, which is kind of significant, but I haven't talked about that yet. Actually, many experiences at age 5 I haven't talked about yet. But, but one thing I do remember during that time, several times, you know, from age 11 to like 20, you know, several times I would like just like abruptly wake up and I'd be like totally paralyzed. That never happens now, but it did during that time. Like I would just like all of a sudden wake up, like all of a sudden, and I would be like paralyzed. I've had that happen several times between that age, like specifically around 14, 15, 16, 17. And this was funny too. This would be kind of considered like paranormal activity, I guess. But several times through actually the ages would be around 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. Several times between that age group, 14 to 18, I remember many, many times where, I mean, and this would be winter. And I've always loved to cover up with tons of blankets, tons of sheets. And then all of a sudden I would wake up, and this would be wintertime, and all the covers and the blankets and shit would be all the way to the end of the bed. I mean, all the way pulled down. That's why I'd wake up, because I'd be freezing my ass off. And I knew that I did not do that. I mean, I knew it was like ghosts or spirits that were doing that. I knew that. I mean, like I say, I had a lot of paranormal activity, and I just, during that time, and I just thought it was ghosts or spirits. I mean, I would even sense, the ghost just standing there staring at me in the kitchen. But like I said, I just thought it was a ghost or spirit when really it was an alien. And that was like when I was like 7 years old. I sensed sometimes when they were just standing there staring at me. And actually it was really funny. I came home one time in 2011 after I bought this house at midnight. And I went into my bedroom, and oh my God, I could feel at least, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 8 beings, maybe more, standing in my freaking bedroom. I mean, all around my bedroom. That was like in 2011. And that was even before I knew the aliens were in my life, but I was just, I guess, thinking, okay, a bunch of spirits are in my room, But yeah, even though they appear invisible, sometimes you can just feel them, sense them, and they're there. And that, like I said, that was in 2011, not long after I bought this house. But yeah, I need to ask the alien to see if they can help me remember anything just super duper significant between the ages of 11 to 20. But that's kind of funny too. I guess my brother was always kind of attuned to stuff too. And whenever we would go to that old house, the old house that my step-grandma used to live in, out in this town about an hour away or whatever, we would go to this old farmhouse. It was like all white. I remember going there, several times, but I was 3 years younger than my brother. And my brother said he always remembered like the windows slamming shut. And see, I don't really remember that. I just remember him talking about that like several times. I mean, I remember the house being kind of like really old and kind of creepy. So like I say, I don't know, if that was really ghosts or if it was aliens, because I don't know if I really believe in ghosts. But my brother remembers that, and I don't remember that. Because like I say, I was probably around 4 or 5, and he would have been 8. But yeah, I don't specifically remember that, but my brother remembers that happening a lot when we would go to my grandma's old farmhouse. I think it was in Billings. But yeah, so but I mean, there's got to be some shit, that happened between the age of 11 to 20, and I just don't remember, but. And it may have just been nothing but, like I said, the paranormal activity that I talked about, the sheets and blankets being pulled all the way down. This happened many times. It wasn't just one time. And of course, I'd wake up abruptly because I would start freezing my ass off. And like that, and then it may not have been nothing except that, and then just a bunch of awesome lucid dreams and virtual reality experiences, which of course, Oh! I remember all sorts of bits and pieces of some of those virtual reality experiences and lucid dreams between that time. But, it would be too hard to remember, like, the whole thing or whatever. I mean, I remember lots of bits and pieces from that time. And like I said, it'd be too hard to talk about really. But and I still, like right now, I'm having all these bits and pieces just come back to me like bam, 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 that I totally remember. And all these lucid dreams that I'm thinking of right now, I mean, totally felt like I was in another dimension. I mean, peaceful dimension. It just feels awesome. Like, it feels awesome. I mean, it feels like, I mean, like nothing. I mean, it feels real, like nothing like this dimension, where this dimension feels fake and phony. When you're in those other dimensions, it just feels totally real. Like, you don't feel any kind of negativity, and no matter who you talk to, you feel like so close and so bonded with the person. I don't know if anybody else can relate to me, but it's like freaking awesome. And I'm just walking around doing mundane freaking things, like that one lucid dream. Well, this is probably 20 years ago. Me, my sister, and mom. It's like this was a lucid dream, virtual reality lucid dream. We were walking around forever. Oh, and my grandmother, by the way, my grandma, my real grandma. It's like we were walking. It's almost like we were at like in a different town, and we were walking up and down like a strip mall. And it almost felt like we were going to a bunch of shops, almost kind of like Silver Dollar City shops. And we stopped off, you know, into a restaurant. We sat down at the table and everything, started eating and everything. But like an experience like that, like with your grandma, your mom or sister, or it could even be a complete stranger. You'll feel totally so close and so bonded with the person, and you'll feel like a lot of love and stuff. And then in this dimension, it's just like so fucked up. You don't feel like that. It's so weird. But like I said, I don't know if anybody can relate to me. I don't think anybody can. But because I don't see anybody else talking about their lucid dreams and shit on YouTube. But anyway, okay, so that's it. Thanks for listening.